Wapnin. What up? Hey, what's up, beautiful people? What's up, sexy people? Happy Sunday, sexy people. What it do up in this month? What up, y'all? Hello. I see you. I see y'all. I see y'all. So listen, you got, there we go with the glitches. You know when your girl get on the live, the glitches start to happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know why these people scared of me. I don't know why these people worry about me telling the truth, shaming the devil, but it's always a glitch. So we're going to claim in Jesus' name that the glitches do not occur. So guys, real quick, I just wanted to say this, and it is, hold on one second. It is something that I came across. And share this live, you guys, because they be trying to shut me down because, you know, I ain't all up in the videos dancing. I'm all up in the videos telling the truth. Now, see, if I was all up in the videos dancing, then I would probably be everywhere, like posing, dancing, partying, and shit. But because I'm actually out here speaking truth to power, it is one of those things where, you know, your girl often runs into a glitch or two. So, guys, let me say this because they're not, you know, it's all kinds of funny business happening with my, you know what, actually, as a matter of fact, let me plug up my phone because I just realized my battery is going out. So come right back because we finna have a whole conversation about something that I just discovered. Where's my, oh, you know what, I might be able to just do it just like this. Hold on, we might not have to go nowhere. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Y'all see what I'm rocking? Baby. Own her ship. Ownership. I know y'all tired of me coming on these here lives talking to y'all about ownership. The reason it is so important for people of color to listen to me when I say that ownership is the most important thing in the whole wide world. Y'all make sure y'all share this live because the OODA, the owners of the algorithm, when I start saying ownership, then they like, oh, this bitch talking crazy. Blocker. And y'all think I'm exaggerating, but that's exactly what happens. If I was on here talking about a fight me and Selena had, or a fight me and Monifa had, or some crazy stuff, you already know. It'd be 511,000 people on here. But because I'm on this live talking to my people about things that I think will ultimately change what's happening in our community, they tried the OODA. That's my name, hashtag OODA. Make sure y'all hashtag OODA, owners of the algorithm. Be deciding that they don't want black people to know how important these intellectual properties that we create here, out here in these streets actually are. Sip on that coffee. So this is why. See, before this was the SAG After logo, this was my Own Her Ship logo. So let me talk to y'all about what's happening up in this mug, right? What is happening is, I mean, y'all already know this is David and Goliath. Y'all already know that I've been fighting for 3 years. I guess they think that I don't know how to get it out the mud. Now, I know how to get it out the mud like a mud. I don't necessarily like to start over. I don't necessarily like to have to start from the bottom and build up. But that's the reason why I call my foundation From the Bottom Up Foundation. Because why? Because we understand that as black people, hey Cordell, thank you for the badge. Y'all, we gonna have a little class today. Big Boy Pride, thank you so much. God definitely has it. And you guys, the transcripts are available from our court date on Monday, last Monday. The transcripts are available. Look at all this damn gray hair. It looks extra gray in this light. Y'all, Jesus. But she slicked down. I need a little more gel. But anyway, what up, Soror? I see you. So, the transcripts from our court date on Monday are available if you have a Pacer account. I am trying to respect the honorable judges, space and time. So I'm trying, because I've actually had my first day in front of a judge last Monday. I'm just trying to kind of chill out and just let the judge do what he do, because based on what I'm reading in the transcripts, again, the truth shall set us free. So let me see if I could paraphrase it. And you have to be careful paraphrasing, because the people from Stars and Lionsgate and Katori Hall, who I'm suing, are probably on this live with y'all too. And they're probably waiting for me to say something that they could go say, see what she said? You know, so that's the thing. The biggest thing that I learned about this case is, because I'm a person who likes to be very transparent and a person who likes to tell the truth. And I know y'all get tired of me talking about this sugar honey iced tea. I get tired of talking about it. But when you little old me, sometimes all you have is your social media following and to create awareness. And I think the biggest thing that I can do to help other young creatives not fall into this situation that I'm in, that Eric Monty, hold on, y'all. Hold on. See, I got my little ponytail. Do y'all know about Eric Monty? Give me some hearts if you know about Eric Monty. Eric Monty, I believe his birth name is Kenneth Williams. Baby, listen. Big Boy Pride, this for you, because you said keep talking, inspiring us. All the other people who want to hear, close your ears, put on your earmuffs, or go and watch somebody dance. Because you know when you come on my live, you're not going to be watching me dance. You're going to be listening to me tell the truth and shame the what, who, devil. So, Eric Monty, I want y'all to pay attention to this, because I didn't see a lot of hearts from people who said that they know who Eric Monty is. I'm going to give y'all a little bit more time. We're in class. Teacher Daniels, do you know who Eric Monty is? If you are a black person, okay, I see one person knows. I see one heart. I see a couple hearts. Okay, don't tell them, because, okay, these my honor students. My honor students over here know who Eric Monty is. I'm about to school y'all who don't know who Eric Monty is. This is one of the most important cases, people in our culture. Okay? No, somebody said they don't know. Somebody said they don't know who he is. I'm really rooting for you. So who is he? Okay. So Eric Monty, let me ask y'all another question. Does this sound familiar? Good times, anytime you need a payment. Good times. We know what good times is. We know, well, here we're moving on up. Right? We know the Jeffersons. We know what's happening. We know what's happening now. And we know Cooley High. Do y'all know Cooley High? Do y'all know? And I know I'm getting a little crunk, turned up on a Sunday. Eric Monty is the black man who created Good Times. He created the Jeffersons. He created What's Happening. He created What's Happening Now. And he also created Cooley High. Why did he create Cooley High? Because that's the school he went to. So Eric Monty, unfortunately, had to sue a whole bunch of people, including, I think most of us, when we watched Good Times and when we watched the Jeffersons and we watched all of these shows, what we saw was like Norman Lear, created by Norman Lear. So what we fell into this habit of believing is that this white man created this show about all these black people and the black experience, right? And we still watch it to this day. Good Times to this day is still a show that, now watch, my live is going to start messing up. My live is going to start messing up, because you know what? These people don't like me telling the truth, shaming the devil, but we're going to do it anyway. So Good Times, the Jeffersons, he also, I think, did something with All in the Family. Don't quote me, because I don't know for sure. But I know the man did Good Times. I know the man did the Jeffersons. I know the man did all, what's the other show? What's Happening Now. What's Happening was actually based on Cooley High, which was based on Eric Monty's high school, which was based on Eric Monty's own personal experiences. But as black people, even me as a young content creator, a young wannabe actress and all this other stuff, I always believed that the brains behind the machine of Good Times was Norman Lear. Y'all know Norman Lear, right? Most of y'all know who Norman Lear is. Show me some hearts. Give me some interaction if you know who he is. So, Eric Monty basically made history by sharing the Black experience and the Black stories in the 70s. It was Eric Monty. Thank you. Knowledge is power, you guys. Listen, I could be all up in the videos dancing. I got a closet full of clothes I could be modeling for y'all. And I got a ton of makeup. A lot of it I get for free. And I could be putting on makeup and doing all, and that's cool for people who do it. But I am a woman who is going to say, okay, right, Miss Watley said, yeah, I thought that Norman Lear did Good Times, the Jeffersons, whatever. See, this is the P-Valley situation all over again, right? Because what we often have, right? What up, Industry Blitz? I see you. What we often have in our community. I just asked the people if they knew who Eric Monty was. I just asked the people if they knew who the creator of the Jeffersons. Good time for those of y'all who are just coming into this live. We talking about the things that Black people create. So as I'm doing my research, right, because we got some really, really, really big orders and motions circulating. I'm going to give you guys an update on my case. I feel really, 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 really good about where things are with our case, except for the fact that I've been in it for 3 years and I'm almost $1 million in debt because of it, but it's all good. We're gonna keep talking about it. So Eric Monty created this show. Eric Monty never got properly credited for this show. Why? Because Norman Lear, some other guy, I can't think of his name, the production company, all of these people basically took credit for writing and creating a show about the Black experience, about what Black people go through. This man wrote Cooley High based on the actual high school he went to. Just like I wrote Soul Kids Cabaret based on actual shit that was happening in Detroit. The gentrification from the casinos, the little jazz clubs and the supper clubs and places I used to hang out at when I was younger with my mom. We typically as creators write from our own real experiences. Now, Katori Hall will have you believe that Uncle Clifford was named after her mother and her father. Right? So there's that whole thing. I'm not gonna get into that. But my point is just that what often happens, right, is that Black people are either propped up and used as the face of something that they created, but not really given ownership. That's why I'm rocking my shirt today, because it's the energy we're trying to have. Own her ship. Now, whether or not Katori Hall has owned her ship of P-Valley, or the people who paid for it and the people who had probably in all likelihood the real power to tell the Black stories, probably have more ownership and control over it. I don't know. That's why we want to go to court. That's the reason why we want to find out. But what's really sad about this situation with Eric Monty, who is still living, and once I win, because I'm gonna win, no matter what it takes, I'm going to win, because my case is too fact-based, too obvious, and like it says on everything I filed, I gave it to the president and CEO of Lionsgate, and I have witnesses who are aware that I gave it to the CEO and the president of Lionsgate, right? So beginning, middle, and end are the same. The story about gentrification in the LGBTQIA-owned casino is the same. And I feel like I'm experiencing a very similar situation to the one that Mr. Eric Monty had to experience, because there's no feeling like being a Black content creator. And this is why y'all have to win. This is why y'all, win, honey. Win is in the air, baby. Win is in the air. Yes, Norman Lear made money off of his ideas, right? Because Eric did not own his ship like I'm trying to own her ship, right? So we're risking everything. Why? Because Eric Monty settled allegedly $4 million and some points and some royalties on the show. And unfortunately, from what I understand based on Mr. Monty's story, and I'm praying for this man, and when I win, I'm going to help this man, because he set the tone and set the pace for people being brave enough to fight these people for their intellectual properties, right? A lot of creatives end up losing because they're afraid to fight. Listen, y'all, let me tell you, y'all gonna find out soon enough. It ain't easy to be 3 years into fighting a company worth billions of dollars. But God and my tribe and my attorneys and my team, who all believe me, believe in what's going on. And those of you who have shared, thank you. I see Industry Blitz on here. Those of you who have shared, and those of you who have reposted, and those of you who have, even just texted or called me and said, girl, we're cheering for you, we're praying for you. Please do, because I have my good days, right? And I have my bad days because I'm human, right? So thank you. I know God got me. I know God got us. But I have those days when I'm just like, oh, because I don't feel like any creative should have to spend almost $1 million and be waiting almost 3 years. Not almost 3 years, because it started July 2020 for me, right? July something 2020. But I don't think that it's fair that you have to go through all of this and you have to leverage everything and you have to get to the brink of pure, financial destruction, like in the case of Mr. Eric Monty, just to find out if you can get in front of a jury for the jury to determine who's right and who's wrong. See, I'm very confident that 7 people at least will look at my 57 plus comparisons, paired with the fact that I gave it to Lionsgate, which is the parent company of Stars, which, and paired with the fact that the selection and arrangement is exactly the same, right? And that's what happens, you guys, when you are in a situation where you're in court for copyright infringement. Let me share this with y'all real quick, because I've learned so much, and I'm definitely writing a book. I'm definitely while it's a lot of crazy stuff going on in our lives and the timing of things is a little off, it's a lot of real amazing shit happening too. And y'all gonna hear about that soon. It's a lot of real amazing stuff happening too. And a lot of people who have shared that they are in our corner, that they are fighting with us. And y'all about to learn soon enough. We got people, but it is still a huge undertaking, right? So when you look at people like Eric Monty, when you look at people like Sophia Stewart, when you look at women like Martha Wash, I just saw somebody post about Martha Wash, and I said, baby, Martha Wash is one of the original warriors for equality and change. Because y'all know that song, Everybody Dance Now. Listen. And what's the other one? Oh my God, all that CNC Music Factory stuff, they took this woman's voice and put her voice on another person's body and likeness. When you look at Milli Vanilli, right? This situation with Katori Hall is not much different. Let me make it very clear to you. I don't know how it happened. I don't know. I did an interview with Kira Hunter. Make sure you guys check that out. It's Raining Men, like all of these, listen, gonna make you sweat. Yes, y'all, strike it up, all of that. All of these songs, they got somebody faking, like they singing the songs and we dancing to it and we're buying it and we're downloading it. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, did they really just completely co-opt this woman's whole likeness and voice and everything and put it on something else? And when you look at The Matrix, one of the biggest movies in the world, The Matrix is one of the biggest movies in the world. Who created that? A black woman, allegedly. Listen, y'all don't even want me to get into the blackish stuff that I've heard about. So when you have these companies where these white CEOs, and listen, I don't have nothing against white people. My great-grandfather happens to be Irish, so it is what it is. I'm speaking specifically about character, and I'm speaking specifically about how these executives get into these positions of power and then take claim over content and ideas and properties that black people create. Now, before y'all go say, well, Katori created P-Valley, once again, get your facts right. The story that has been told in season 1 of P-Valley, which established everything that happened after that, right? Even if you say season 2 was different, whatever. I mean, in my opinion, creatively, it was trash. I can say that it was trash. But a lot of people were different. Won NAACP awards and things. So clearly people think that it's not trash. I personally thought the second season was trash. And I said it with my chest, okay? Because that's just how I feel as I didn't even watch the whole second season, so that might be overstating it. And the reason I didn't watch it is because what I did watch, in my opinion, was trash. So I personally don't think that that individual has the ability to create story as solid as the story in season 1 because she didn't create it. And that's my argument. And I've been really silent, believe it or not, as much as I've spoken about a lot of things, because what tends to happen when you're in court, now this is very important, all creatives, if you are a creative person or if you're a person who creates something that requires a copyright, it's a very important conversation for you guys to pay attention to. Number one, you are not protected from someone infringing on your rights because you filed a copyright before them. And no, my play wasn't just similar. The story in my play and the story in P-Valley for season 1 are pretty much exactly the same. They start the same thing happens in the middle, and the same thing happens at the end. It is not just similar, it is substantially similar. Many people don't even know. Tata in French, which Soul Kids Cabaret was all about the bootleg French. Detroit is the sister city to Cannes. Tata is auntie in French, right? Tata is slang for auntie in French. So I created a character called Auntie Cliff. I'm getting confused my damn self. I created a character called Auntie Burlesque to their Uncle Clifford. The same number of cast in the show. The same characters are identified in the show. The same plot of the casino takeover of a venue that is inherited by a loved one. The fact that both characters were in a down low relationship. You know, the fact that a new girl saves the club in the end. It is the exact same beginning, middle, and end. But this is what I've learned about copyright protection, and this is what, and if y'all don't believe me, go to wirfmedia.com. I got 57 comparisons. If you don't want to watch the video, then you can go on ahead and watch look at the chart with the side-by-sides and all that stuff. Martha Wash, yes, she did win, but let me tell y'all what happens. What happens in these cases, right, is nobody ever really wins as big as they deserve to win. Not nobody. The vast majority of people who get into these cases don't win the way that they should win, because think about it. Guys, let's all put our heads together and really think about this. You are fighting a company that has billions and billions of dollars. Y'all feeling me on that just a little bit? You're fighting a company that has billions and billions of dollars. So what happens when an individual, a black woman trying to make shit happen, coming out of a pandemic, say it all the time, who loses their parents, goes through a pandemic and spends 3 years in a court case? Me. And the reason why is because I'm slightly kind of, so faithful that I don't allow myself to fall into the what if this doesn't happen headspace. I'm just confident that no matter what I got to do, I'm standing in my house right now like, okay, Lord, whatever we got to do. Whatever we got to do. Why? Because Eric Monty settled for $1 million. And now he's homeless, living in a shelter. I think that he just got an apartment. Martha Wash, I don't know what she settled for, but we hear those records every single day on the radio. We hear those records all the time. We hear Strike It Up. We hear all of those fake ass people. We still hear Milli Vanilli. See, so the powers that be still making money off of the fact that they stole this woman's voice, right? Because we don't have enough people who have fought enough, who have maintained their faith enough to actually be able to win the right way, right? So I could just say, y'all, this is too much. This is too hard. We've lost too much. We sacrificed too much. Like how, I don't know how we've gotten to the point where we're $1 million in debt from a lawsuit. I don't know how we got to that point except God. And not on the negative side of it, because the truth of the matter is, coming out of COVID, coming out of a pandemic, I don't know how we have been kept for as long as we have. If everything fall apart tomorrow, right? Because we're waiting for the judge. If you guys want to know, we're waiting for the judge to decide whether or not he thinks they're similar. And that's all it boils down to. All that it boils down to. And yes, we can look at the two. The Eric Monty story is tragic and heartbreaking, and it is outrageous. And if you want to, and this is going to sound crazy, right? This is going to sound like, okay, you're tripping. Hold on one sec, y'all. Okay. If you want to stop stories like Eric Monty from happening, get behind your girl. Have my back. Because this ownership fight I'm having, y'all know I'm not ever doing anything. I have never done one thing in my life where I didn't think about other people. From Brownstone to Soul Kids Cabaret, which ultimately became R&B Divas. Like, I'm always making it my business, because this is what God has ordered me to do, to create opportunities for my people, to create opportunities in my community, right? And what I have constantly been up against is a culturally incompetent white male and female sometimes lens group of people deciding that they want to take my ideas and claim them as their own. It has happened to me every time I create hit shows. By the grace of God, if he ain't listen, God didn't really give me the ability to dance that well. I'm probably not that good of a public speaker, because I cuss too much and I say all kind of shit I shouldn't probably be saying. And it's other things I don't do so well. But the one thing I know that I do very well is create content and ideas that uplift, empower, inspire, educate, inform, entertain, and they're hit shows, right? Holla at your girl. R&B Divas, they created a whole spin-off called Hollywood Divas. The producers, the white male producers, who I brought on board, Faith and I brought on board for R&B Divas, went on to become producers on Hollywood Divas, but said, no, you're not entitled to anything from Hollywood Divas. So I had to sue them. And the only reason why it didn't go deeper and much farther than it could have on R&B Divas is because my sister Maxie died literally a week before I was supposed to go into arbitration with these fools. So I just had to let it go. So what we decided this time around is, no matter what happens, no matter what we lose, we could potentially temporarily lose everything. But the difference between what happened with Eric Monty and what is happening with me is that y'all are going to know about it. Y'all are going to see it every step of the way, good, bad, or indifferent, no matter what happens, right? Maybe God is bringing me all the way to my knees, bringing my family all the way to our knees, so somebody, some people, some person out there can pay attention, because all it takes is one. They robbed Eric Monty and Martha Wash and the Milli Vanilli people and like all that, and they still continue to make money year after year after year. Every time something plays, every time we see something, a non-black community is able to put their kids through college. They're able to invest in more property. They're able to, and that's the thing I need for us as a black community to understand. You understand? No, you got to see Eric Monty's story. You got to know Eric Monty's story, because it's so powerful and it's so important. So now what's happening in my case, right? I'm going to give y'all another example, which is really crazy, right? It's mind-blowing how much creatives actually lose. It's mind-blowing. And it would get the average person in a place where they feel like, I can't really do this, because I ain't finna lose my house, I ain't finna lose my car, I ain't finna lose my clothes, I ain't finna lose my all up in the videos, right? And it takes somebody crazy like me to say, hey, listen, it's going to be what it's going to be. The loss is temporary, always has been temporary, right? Always has been temporary. And as long as my husband and my family and the people that I care about know that, I have to get the approval of the people I love before we decide to just risk everything, right? And they're all ready to go. Everybody's ready to go. My team is ready to go. My lawyers are ready to go. We're ready to go. And it's a horrible thing that we should have to do that. And we're going to work to change laws once we win to make sure that the next person doesn't have to wait 3 years and spend $1 million just to decide if they can get to court. But this is what these people are saying. What these people are saying is that their character is non-binary and gender fluid, and my character just gay. Well, when I wrote it in 2003 and copyrighted it with WGA in 2004 and with the federal copyright in 2006, he's described as a flamboyant drag queen. But the reason we weren't using words like that is because it really was navigating how people like to be referenced and referred to, right? So the character was in love with another man. The character was Tata, aka Auntie Burlesque. So for them to say that one big difference in the two is that his is non-binary. Non-binary just became a word. Gender fluid just became a word. The two characters are identical. Joe, who played Tata Burlesque in Soul Kids Cabaret, is non-binary in real life. That's how he lives his life. Also, they say, oh, you know, you only mentioned the casino a couple of times, but the casino's the whole plot of our story. Well, the casino takeover is the entire whole plot of our story as well. Why? Because I'm from Detroit. That shit happened in real life, and a lot of people were really concerned that these little small supper club venues would actually shut down. So when I hear what they're pulling out and trying to extract, they were even like, and this is all public information, guys, so I'm not sharing information that is private. And trust me, there's tons that is private, because Katori don't want nobody to really know anything that we talked about and the stuff that we've been talking about with her. So I can't really talk about none of that stuff. Lord God, I wish that I could. Lord God, I wish that I could talk about the things that I learned through our depositions, but we have been given a gag order. So I can't talk about any of that stuff. Now, I'm not putting a gag order on any of my stuff because I want the world to know what happened. And if I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning author and somebody is accusing me of copyright infringement or plagiarism, I got something to say. I want the world to know that I didn't do it. I want the world to hear my deposition. I want the world to see my deposition. But Katori Hall does not. And I have to respect that. So I can't talk about any of that. And I can't talk about the deposition of the CEO of Lionsgate either, because they want all that stuff to be private, because they don't want y'all to know. And they really don't want me out here publicly talking about it neither. My lawyers probably don't either, but, you know, the bottom line is Eric Monty, Martha Wash, you know, Sophia Stewart, people like that didn't have social media. They didn't have fan bases who care about creatives and care about the fact that we have to, in order to have ownership of our intellectual properties, that we have to fight this hard, that we have to spend this much. And why should I? Somebody said, absolutely, watching, they can tell it's their story because they didn't even, right, exactly. And this is the other thing. She got a first look deal. Why hasn't she developed anything else, right? And the other thing is, they're claiming that the reason why they're not filming anymore is because of the writer's strike. Well, from what I understand in my research, the scripts were written and ready to go. So, like, nobody wants to admit that this lawsuit is a real thing. Nobody want, you know, people want to just chalk it off as me chasing clout. You know, I think I could talk about my deposition. I believe I can. But it was a whole lot of, well, what happened with R&B divas? Didn't you have a lawsuit with R&B divas? I'm like, yeah, and it was for the same reason, because I'm fighting for ownership, right? So that's the reason why it's been extra difficult for me, is because R&B divas and the lies that were perpetuated on that show, which we gonna get into, baby, because, we're gonna get into all of that. But the lies that were perpetrated on the show R&B Divas really had a lot of people feeling like I was like some kind of weird clout chaser, and like I was really just out here just frivolously, randomly, litigiously creating lawsuits. No, what I'm doing is I'm standing up for my intellectual property rights that y'all gave, per the CEO of Stars, Katori Hall, $100 million to produce. So y'all gave her $100 million to produce a show that is substantially similar to a show that I wrote, copyrighted, and gave to the CEO of the company that gave her $100 million. And y'all think I'm just looking for clout? Man, please go watch the comparison video. And for those people who, you know, because I haven't had any coverage from Deadline.com. I haven't had any coverage from The Hollywood Reporter. I haven't had any coverage from all of these various places out here that have promoted the hell out of P-Valley, right? And that just blows my mind. Like, how do you, as a respected journalist, not, you know, at least look at the case and say, hey, might be something here? I get it. Some people want to wait until they find out if I'm going to be given the right to go forward to a jury and determine what happens, right? But somebody said, I can't even imagine how hard it is to see your idea being stolen and someone else getting paid and praised. Man, listen. When that won the NAACP award, which was something, I'm hyped, y'all. I've been moving around some little private summerish right now. But when I watched them gallivant across that stage and receive that, I'm going to answer that question about the black publications. No, Essence hasn't covered it. Essence ain't said nothing. Ebony ain't said nothing. And listen, I get it. They got bills to pay. They got to be cool with the people that's hot right now. But just remember that. So it's so difficult. And when I watched the character that I was so proud of, because let me tell y'all something. There's no doubt, as dope as the people who have done Soul Kittens Cabaret, like, I've had so many talented actresses and artists and people over the years, because we've been doing Soul Kittens Cabaret since 2004. But I've had so many talented people over the years as a part of Soul Kittens, right? But the character, hands down, the most memorable, lovable character, original character. No, Essence is promoting P Valley right now. But it's cool. Like, I ain't got no problem with them. But, you know, Essence is not really covering my copyright infringement case. I got to win it first, I guess. But the most lovable character in P Valley is, I'm sorry, I keep confused, in Soul Kittens Cabaret is Tata Burlesque, right? And Tata Burlesque is so lovable because of the relationship that he has with the women. Also, one of the most memorable characters is Frank Rudder, who is the homophobic antagonist that calls him a freak and a faggot and all of these terrible things. Same exact character that my brother Isaiah Washington plays. In fact, I remember Isaiah Washington saying in a blog that he needs to meet the person who created this character because there was so much vitriol, and you know, and that came from like me having real life conversations and real life experiences with people in my life who were from that community. Katori says she was inspired to write Tata because of her mother, who's I assume straight, and her father, who I assume is straight, and that was confusing to me because the depth in that character, the way that it is written just doesn't feel like it could ever come from a straight person. But hey, stranger things have happened. You know, that's why we want to go to court. And the thing that prevents us from succeeding in these cases is always money. It's not the truth. Because nobody's gonna fight a company this powerful and this big and this influential if they're not telling the truth. Like, nobody's gonna lie. Like, if I was lying about something, I would have probably, first of all, I don't lie about shit like that. I just don't. Which is probably part of the reason why fake ass people don't like me maybe so much. Because I tell the truth and I keep it real and I say what I have to say, right? So the reason that I've been in this for so long is because these people are able to file motion after motion after motion after motion after motion. And motions are basically like briefs, and, you know, they just write a whole bunch of stuff. They gave us like almost 20,000 pages of documents to go. And my lawyers have to read all of that. My lawyers, because they're good and they're smart and they know people try to slide shit in, they got to read every single word. And good lawyers reading every single word is going to cost you $1 million, $2 million every single time, right? So when you are a creative who is an independent creative and you don't have insurance, which is something that is very important, I'm going to talk about that. Y'all listen, from the bottom up foundation.org, just real quick so I don't forget this. From the bottom up foundation.org, we are hosting a town hall discussion we're building a creatives coalition. We're building a coalition and a group of creatives who care about the future of Black people and content and how we can protect ourselves from this kind of situation, right? Because I didn't think it was going to take me 3 years to be able to get to a jury. I wasn't thinking that shit. I was like, they're going to look at my evidence. They're going to see that it's obvious. And the judge is going to be like, okay, let's let a jury decide who's right and who's wrong, right? And like I said, I'm very confident that 7 people are going to see this. I pray to God they do. But, you know, 99% of the people who see it at WIRFmedia.com understand what it is. Hey, TK, I see you. You know I'm ranting. I got on here because I was doing research today on Eric Monty, and I realized how unfair this system has been for so many years. Here's a man who settled. He wrote, again, for those of you who are just joining, Eric Monty wrote Good Times. He wrote Jefferson's. He wrote What's Happening. He wrote Cooley High. He wrote What's Happening Now. And they basically co-opted his ideas, took credit for it, paid him $1 million. And he went through some drug addiction and alcohol issues and had to file bankruptcy, which is what so many people have to do. Holla at your girl. I don't know what the future holds for us. But I will tell you this. What I know for sure is that in order to prevent, and this is what I was getting into with this Creatives Coalition, in order to prevent this from happening to other people, in order to prevent other Eric Montes, in order to prevent other Sophia Stewarts, in order to prevent other Martha Washes, in order to prevent other Millie Vanillis, because speaking of Millie Vanilli, Couture, as far as I'm concerned, your ass is Millie and Vanilli. But in order to prevent all of those things, right? Somebody said, take your idea to Tyler Perry. That is what, let me tell y'all something, and I'm just going to say this. The reason that I'm in this situation with Lionsgate right now, and this is directly directed to the person who just asked me to take my ideas to Tyler Perry. The reason I'm in this situation with Lionsgate right now is because at the time that I went and I pitched the CEO of Lionsgate, and I left my materials with the CEO of Lionsgate. Let me tell y'all how it happened real quick. My attorney at the time, Leroy Bobbitt, explained to me that he worked at a law firm with the people from Lionsgate. John DeLab. Well, I'm not start naming people. It's in I'm gonna say it's in the file, because I'm not gonna be disrespectful and start putting people's names in the streets. If you want to know the exact names of these CEOs, go to Pacer, look at the paperwork. I'm not gonna, rattle the hive. But Leroy said, oh, I was actually in the meeting, speaking of Tyler, I was in the meeting with my partner who worked for Tyler and the person who invested in Tyler's very first shows, right? I'm leaving people's names out of it. But this particular individual was actually the person who I had gone to about R&B Divas, because I wanted to have him fund R&B Divas and then to license it, right? Because I had heard something about it, but I didn't really know what that meant, right? This is the ownership conversation we talking about, y'all. Own and license. Own and license. This is what they don't want you to know. So, the person who financed Tyler's initial plays was prepared to finance me, had already financed something else that I was working on, the From the Bottom Up show, right? So basically what he said was, he came to my house. I've known him for years. He has been an angel in my life for many, many, many years, but we're going to keep his name out this shit. So he came to the house and he basically said, if you can get someone to distribute, let me take it all the way back. So what I realized with R&B Divas, the big mistake I made with R&B Divas, the huge mistake I made with R&B Divas, is I didn't own it, right? And when people talk about ownership, you think that they're saying, oh, my, I just own this all by myself and can't nobody else have none. That you'll never make money that way. But what you do is you create something. It comes from your brain. Like if Eric Monte had ownership of Good Times, if he had ownership of Jefferson's and all of these shows that he created, y'all see how long we've been watching these shows? You see how long these shows have been generating income and revenue? His family and future generations and other artists and creatives would have benefited from that greatly, right? So Tyler Perry is the example. Byron Allen is the example. Oprah Winfrey is the example. And it ain't but 3 or 4 of them who are examples of what happens when Black people can own and license their content. See, this is the shit I learned during R&B Divas. Why? Because I didn't have it. And it's bigger than residuals. You get residuals if you are work for hire. I'm about to break down to y'all how this ownership and licensing thing works. How it's possible that I made more money off of From the Bottom Up, which hardly anybody saw, than I made on R&B Divas. The reason I made more money is because, thank God, Queen Latifah and Shakim was like, no, we're going to co-own this and we're going to license this and partner and license this with BET. So the way that Tyler Perry made all his money. So the question was about whether or not I reached out to Tyler and whatever. First of all, Tyler doing Tyler and telling us how we should pick our men. But basically I went to LA with the understanding that if I could get a distributor to distribute my content, that the same person, of course I'm saving this post, if they don't mess it up, because you know what happened. Be like, your post can't be saved, it was deleted, and then all of a sudden y'all gonna stop. But here, ownership, let's keep talking about it for the OODA, owners of the algorithm, cut us off, right? So people are like, why she y'all? I don't know if Katori owns P-Valley. If she does, and I lose, and she can keep it, baby, she gonna win. Don't know if she owns it. Doubt if she does, but that's just a doubt. Went to Lionsgate. Had a conversation with the CEO. Went to Los Angeles, met with my then attorney, explained to him, I would like to do one of those kinds of deals that Tyler Perry and Byron Allen do. Because when I did R&B Divas, I had no understanding of the importance of owning something, right? I own the name today and would always partner with TV One moving forward to produce that show, because I believe that they were very instrumental in the success of it. But went in, met with the attorney, said, hey, listen, I have an investor who will pay for the production, who worked with Tyler Perry and is actually the person who helped him get his plays off the ground and then subsequently turned into TV shows and whatever. And Tyler owns his stuff, and he partnered with these people as distributors, right? So when the person who invested in Tyler, who is also invested in me, came to my house and said, Nicci, I will do this if you do the kind of deal that Tyler did, which means that you own it or co-own it with a distributor, and then you share in the real money, not the residuals, not the points that they worked out on the side, but you get at least 50% of every dollar that comes in on what you created. And then you own it in perpetuity, which means, you know how we see stuff on streaming platforms, y'all? And like, you'll look up and you'll see like Boys in the Hood on a streaming platform. You'll see those episodes of Martin that they air every other day on the streaming platforms. That is because the person who owns that content has the ability to relicense that content in perpetuity, right? So that means that you'll license it, and these are just hypothetical numbers I'm throwing out, right? So that means that you'll license it to BET for 5 years, and they may pay you $3 or $4 million or more, who knows, depending on what the content is. You license it, they'll give you that. Then that means after BET is done in 5 years, then you could license it to VH1, and then VH1, they could play that show. Same show that you've already done, meaning you don't need to spend any more revenue redoing the show, because these are cult classics, right? Just like if those R&B Divas episodes come out, y'all gonna watch them. Them old episodes, y'all gonna watch them. Y'all want some new ones, but y'all definitely will watch the old ones, because it's something that has proven to be a hit show. Good Times, All in the Family. All these shows created by Black people are owned and controlled by non-Black people. That's it. So when I went and I met with the CEO of Lionsgate, I gave him the DVD, which was already done. I gave him the pilot episodes of my script that I was developing him right now, the script for Soul Kids Cabaret. I gave him all of my materials. I sat there, I had a conversation with him. He said, oh, I love the name Tata Burlesque, blah, 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 blah. I never heard back after that. So I'm assuming he wasn't interested. So to look up many years later and to discover that the same place I dropped my materials off now has the biggest, most successful show on television, that they gave someone a first-time showrunner. Now, Katori had no experience in television outside of like a staff writer on a show that she had written, right? Let's just unpack this for a minute, right? Now, we're waiting for the judge to decide whether or not they're substantially similar enough for me to go before a jury. But let me tell y'all this. Katori didn't have no experience in TV. Katori had never done a TV show. Katori did The Mountaintop, which she rewrote a story that she reimagined about Martin Luther King and a housekeeper in a hotel that was two people, two long-ass monologues, right? That ironically, Dee McKinney, hate to put you in the streets, sis, but the star of Soul Kids Cabaret was also the star of Katori Hall's Mountaintop in Atlanta. One of the first things on her resume was Soul Kittens Cabaret. This was long before this lady wrote this play or put anything out. Anyway, or put the play up. So I went in, I pitched it to the CEO of Lionsgate. He said no, but then then Katori came in around the same time, within a year or so after me, or before me or whenever. I believe it was after, because I went to LA, well, whatever. The details are in the thing that I filed, right? So imagine, you go, you pitch this story, this amazing story about this venue and these dancers that are risque dancers. Burlesque and striptease is the same thing. The only reason why I didn't call it a strip thing is because back when I wrote it, again, like stripping is a whole thing now. Like it's like hot to be a stripper. You understand what I'm saying? Like being a stripper is like is the thing, right? You know what I mean? And then it was not. So of course I had to be a little delicate in delivery because we're in a theater. But the story, guys, this is what I want y'all to hone in on. This is what I want you guys to be clear on. The story of a LBGTQIA owner of a men's, traditionally strip clubs and burlesque clubs are run by men, straight men. It's very unusual that someone named Auntie Burlesque, or even Uncle Clifford for that matter, and Tata again means auntie. It's very hard to imagine that you would have a gay person running a club where they're taking off their clothes, where straight men are coming in and they're taking off their clothes. So that in and of itself was unique. The fact that this club has been in the community for years and years, and the Soul Kittens Cabaret, the stories are about the venues and the people who are there. So the venue itself is like a character in the show. Then you got the main chick, which you could say in Players Club, everybody got a main chick. But the fact that the main chick wants to get out of the club and open up a women's center, the same as my main chick, the fact that one of the dancers who nobody likes saves the club in the end, the fact that you have a bartender that falls in love with one of the dancers and they turn on each other in a huff, and the fact that one of the dancer's husband comes back and holds a gun or a weapon to the other dancer's neck, and you think every single sequence, every single solitaire, the girl arrives with a red vintage suitcase. My character arrived, and all of my characters were fully flushed out and fully developed in 2004. Katori didn't put a copyright in with the Copyright Office till 2017. But yet, with 57 comparisons, with the fact that I went and dropped off and have a witness who was with me at the meeting with the CEO of Lionsgate, the fact that a lawyer referred me to the CEO of Lionsgate, and the CEO of Lionsgate knows the lawyer. That's his friend. They know these people. I still have to wait 3 years to find out if I have a case. I still have to spend $1 million just to find out if I got a case. So that's why I get on here and I speak, because I'm very prayerful that the judicial system gives me the opportunity to argue my case before a jury, so that once and for all, creatives can have an opportunity to have something to pass down to our kids, right? My grandson was 5 years old when this lawsuit started. He about to be 9 in a few months. His whole 4 years of his life, he has had to indirectly be affected and impacted by the fact that I have to fight a multi-billion-dollar company who knows they don't have no facts, but they got plenty of money. And they could just be like, and they said it. So let's get to where we are now. Let me not ramble all over the place and not give y'all where we at now. So in addition to just every single day, like what my days consist of is reading briefs and reading. Chike says the judgment isn't going to become easy. People know what it is. God's hand is all over this. Amen. I receive that. What's really interesting is that, so I have to read a lot, right? And I do a lot of reading because, I like to offset legal fee costs, right? So I'm still, every single day, I got to read hundreds of pages of briefs and refamiliarize myself with what we filed originally. And it's just always some paperwork. And it's just always, they're trying to strike my expert's report, right? They saying that, they just, in other words, long story short, they just don't like the expert's report. By the grace of God, they have not been able to strike our expert report yet. But what they're doing is, what happens, and this is very important. So of all the things that I've said, probably some of the most important stuff I'm about to say right now. And this is what a lot of you need to be aware of. And this is the reason I got to stay in this battle. This is the reason, because if it was about me, I probably would have settled a long time ago. If it was just like, you know, about like me on some finance, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, because don't nobody want to do this. And I don't care who be like, oh, she broke, she this, that, and the third. Holla at me when you fight a multi-billion-dollar company for 3 years. Then I want to hear your opinion, because you might have something to offer, but nobody's really ever done this like I have in this case. So what happens is, and where we are now, is on Monday I was supposed to find out if the court was going to allow me after 3 years. On Monday I was supposed to find out if the court was going to allow, or is going to allow me to go to trial, right? Which is, we have to go to trial so that we could go before a jury. At first, the court wasn't going to allow us to do discovery. And discovery is very important. Discovery is where we learn more details about how my show actually, my story actually got to Katori, how it got to these people, you know, the chain of title and all that stuff, right? So on Monday, we were supposed to learn that. But what happened is, a couple days before that, because these people are rich and they have an endless supply of dollars, they filed a bunch of stuff. They just go look at it, y'all will see it. Like, they filed a bunch of stuff. And my attorneys only had 3 days to respond to like all this extra shit that they just threw in. Like, they just inundate us with just a bunch of shit, right? Unnecessary stuff. So when we got to court, so before we went to court, you know, my attorneys were like, Nicci, you know, I know you really wanted to know what the judge was going to say. Yes, they're trying to exhaust my resources and they want me to walk away, but I'm not going to walk away. Basically, my lawyers were like, Nicci, you know, I know you wanted to find out if you're going to be able to go to court, but, you know, we have to ask for more time to respond to all of this stuff they just sent us, right? And I'm like, well, what can we do? Can we stop them? No, we can't. We can't stop them from filing a bunch of stuff. In fact, one of the things that they said in the new stuff that they filed was, if this is what Lionsgate, Stars, Katori Hall, Katori got a bunch of lawyers. She just hired a new one, like another one, lady. But anyway, they sent something saying that if, right now we're in a summary judgment phase, right? So they've tried to dismiss my case for the last 3 years. They've been trying to throw my case out. Like, they've been trying to dismiss it, trying to, you know, just, this don't mean nothing. This is dumb. It's not the same, whatever, right? I'm going to answer that question about co-ownership and full ownership in a minute. So much to say. Let me slow down so I can give it to y'all right. So they filed something saying, if the summary judgment is it's supposed to be their last opportunity to get the court to throw my case out. And their summary judgment is saying, throw this out because these two things are nothing alike. Now, there have been previous cases, and some of my defendants have been involved in those previous cases. Y'all following me? That feel almost the same as mine. Somebody accuses them of going and finding somebody else to write their story and this and that and the third, right? So in previous cases, they have set precedent. When something sets precedent, then it basically becomes the thing that they look at for all of the cases that come after that. So there is a case called Skidmore and Led Zeppelin. So Led Zeppelin did this song, right? I wonder why they would even deal with Katori instead of using you. Okay, so the reason why they probably, in my opinion, wanted to deal with Katori is because, again, I don't know if Katori has ownership. When I went in and I talked to the CEO of Lionsgate, I told him I wanted co-ownership, and I had funding in place that was going to help me be able to pay for the co-ownership, which would have meant that I would have gotten half of everything, and I could have lived in a world like Tyler Perry. In fact, you'll see their pictures of Tyler Perry with the CEO of Lionsgate. They're like, cool, because he's done those kinds of deals with Tyler. And it's not Tyler's responsibility to help advocate for me. I'm not love for that to happen, but that ain't his responsibility. He's busy making money. He ain't thinking about my ass, you know, and my lawsuit against those people. But it's just crazy that I wanted the same kind of deal that he had so I could have the same kind of opportunities that he had. Imagine if, you know, it would be whatever. Anyway, let me get back to what's happening. because then I'm gonna start saying stuff and folks gonna start clipping it and it's gonna sound crazy if you have not been listening to my whole live. So they said if I win this summary judgment, that they're just going to file another summary judgment motion. So they said to the court, if the court rules in favor of the plaintiff, then we are simply going to file another summary judgment. And guess what I can do about it? Nothing. I can pay my lawyers so that we could fight longer for this summary judgment. And we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. It is what it is. But so when we went to court on Monday, the reason why we had to ask for more time is because these people have said that they're simply going to file something else if we win this. It's so unfair. It's so rotten. It's so dirty. It's so what you do when you know the facts ain't in your corner, but you believe that you can just wear people out financially and all that other stuff, right? So I got to just endure it. I got to cry it out when I want to cry it out. I got to pray it out when I want to pray it out. It's so hard for me to focus on being creative. Well, it's not hard, because actually what it's doing is this inspiring creativity, because I've actually been writing new music. I've actually been writing a story based on what I'm going through. But just the bottom line is, if they win, if the judge rules in my favor on this judgment, then they've said they're just gonna file another one. And then they said if they can't get access, then they're gonna file another one. So they just gonna keep filing paperwork, and there's no laws and there's nothing that protects people like me who have a real case and real facts and real evidence. There's nothing that protects us from rich people with endless supplies of money, because y'all watched that show and made it the #1 show ever. And I'm not blaming y'all, because, you know, you watch the show because you enjoy it. But it's just really foul, because like Eric Monty, who created Good Times, like Martha Wash, like all of these other creatives, and there's so many cases that y'all have never heard about. There's so many cases. That's the thing that's so crazy about all of this. I have had to read all of these other cases. So let me get to this Skidmore case and where we are. And yes, I'm documenting this process because I want other people to know what you need to be prepared for. It's not enough to just have your copyright before them. It's not enough for something to be substantially similar. And it's not enough for you to have access, to be able to prove that you gave it to the people who making millions and hundreds and tens of millions of dollars off of it. It's not enough when you black and when you're a black woman, right? Because I have a feeling if my name was somebody like, I don't know, Angelina Jolie or something, like, well, first of all, she got enough money, so it really wouldn't matter. But y'all get what I'm saying. Like, they just, you know, like they asked me in my deposition, well, what about R&B divas? Well, what about such and such and such and such? Like, as if I did something wrong in R&B divas. Actually, I didn't. They did. I was done wrong in that case. But because of the media and people's ability to perpetuate and start a narrative, which is why I stay out here with my own narrative, because I don't give a shit about the lies that people tell, but I care about people who care enough about the truth to share mine. And when I get on here every single time, that's all I'm telling y'all is the truth. Might not be as refined and articulate, and that is simply because I'm tired of this shit. But it's the truth nonetheless. So the judge, who I believe in my whole heart and my whole soul understands where we coming from. I was very scared. I ain't gonna hold y'all up. I was terrified on Monday. I was holding it together. Like, I was prayed up and listened to my praise and worship. And thank you, Tamala Mann, for that All Right album that we listened to over and over again when we did Meet the Browns. That pulled me through. So grateful for my husband and my best friends and my cousin best friend and all of my tribe and the people who have just called me on that day and walked with me on that day, and all of y'all who have encouraged me. But I was terrified going into this courtroom because I knew that whatever the judge said was going to change my life one way or the other, right? And we didn't get the answer. And the reason we didn't get the answer is because, like the judge said, so my attorneys had to file something at the last minute asking for more time, because the money people, the people with all this money, right, they filed a bunch of shit. And the judge was like, so you asked for more time. And my lawyer said, well, yeah, we asked for more time because they pulled the fast one basically and inundated us with all this paperwork that we haven't had time to respond to. So the judge said that he was going to give us the time to respond to that, which is a wonderful thing, because he could have just been like, look, I'm going to dismiss your case, whatever. So thank God he didn't do that. And he still can, because he's the judge and he's going to ultimately make the decision. But listening, and you guys go look at the transcript, rereading the transcript and listening to what the judge had to say. And I'm an energy person. I know it sounds kind of weird, like, okay, you're trying to read the judge's energy. Yes, I am. I felt like his energy was going to be one that really gave it real serious thoughts on all sides, right? So what the judge is doing is he's reading a case. He said because the defendants now want to challenge the issue of access. So the reason they want to challenge the issue of access is because the CEO said he does not recall our meeting. He does not recall what occurred in the meeting. He ain't flat out saying it didn't happen. He's saying he does not recall. Now, I'm saying it happened. And my publicist at the time, who attended the meeting with me, who also happens to be my godmother, if y'all know Lynn Jeter, you know she's the best of the best and she works with everybody. And Leroy Bobbitt and Leroy's assistant, we all know this meeting happened, but the CEO can't recall that the meeting happened. So when someone says they can't recall, and two people or more, in my case, more people know about this meeting, unfortunately, we don't want to bug the lawyer that referred me, because he's got something going on in his life right now that's very serious, and you know, whatever. But long short, the judge said, she says it happened. Another witness said it happened. The CEO is saying he can't recall. This is disputable. That's what he said in the transcript. Disputable means this is something that has to go before a jury. So the judge said, she's saying it didn't happen. He's saying he can't, she's saying it did happen. She was there as well as a witness. The CEO is saying that the meeting, he can't recall what happened. So this is disputable, meaning this is something that goes before, when something is disputable, a jury has to determine that. So then another thing I recall the judge saying was, they said, well, you know, we want you to dismiss this on summary judgment because we don't believe that these two are substantially similar. We don't believe that they're the same. And, you know, something, we didn't have a chance to do a summary judgment for access, whatever. And the judge was like, well, that's not going to work. Go on to number 2. So, you know, the judge is giving them time, giving all of us time. He's researching another case, the Skidmore case. Let me tell y'all what happened. The recall is a tactic, exactly. Basically, when you say I don't recall during a deposition, you know, if something comes up later to prove that it did happen, then you can't be accused of telling a lie, basically. So you say I can't recall and hope that nothing comes up that proves that it did happen, because then you perjured yourself, right? So to avoid perjury, when you don't want to, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't an unequivocal, I don't know this lady, I don't know her lawyer, you know, he just can't recall. And that's what they're going on. So the judge is basically saying that, you know, he has to review a case called Skidmore and Led Zeppelin. If you have not paid attention to the Skidmore and Led Zeppelin case, y'all could be a little baby attorney with all the stuff that I've been learning, which is why I'm sharing this stuff with y'all. I'm lying. I can't be an attorney. My attorneys went to school for a long time and they bombed, and I'm not. But in the case of Skidmore versus Led Zeppelin, this is, pay attention, whether you this, because the Skidmore case is about music. If you write songs, if you write shows, if you come up with ideas, if you own a trademark, a trade name, anything having to do anything with your business, listen to what I'm finna tell you. So most of us just think we go to court, we show our facts, and then we go to trial. We get a trial. That's not what happens. There's all of these case examples. In the Skidmore Led Zeppelin case, there's a group called Spirit that had a song called Taurus. Now, the beginning of the song called Taurus, this is the case that the judge is rereading so that he could give us a determination He said he would give it to us in a week. So in a week would be by next week, early next week. We should know what his determination is on one of the motions, right? Or two of the motions, I'm sorry. But yeah, yes, I'm praying because again, Your Honor could have, you know, because remember y'all, it was in Georgia for like a year and some change, right? And then it went to his court. So let me get back to the Skidmore thing. So initially what the judge said, and this is in the transcript, so I'm not saying anything about I'm not saying anything that's not already public information, because you know they waiting for me to do that so they can just like get me on a technicality, y'all. And which is why Black people don't ever know the importance of ownership, because people aren't brave enough to kind of navigate the minefield of telling the truth, because you can't just really tell the truth, just like you can't just really go in and sue anybody. So Skidmore and Led Zeppelin, when you listen to the beginnings of both of those songs, this is very important for y'all to listen, and I'm about to paraphrase what happened in this case. And this is the case where the judge is rereading this case, okay? If you listen, oh, somebody's being disrespectful. I don't even see them. I saw that, Hassan. They probably fans of P Valley and Katori Hall. They some trolls. Who cares? Hold on, but let me figure out how to block them if they're being disrespectful. Oh, no, I can't. Okay, let me not get distracted by any of that. That's why I'll be reading the shit. Same to you and your whole people, whatever you said. So in the Skidmore case, if you listen to them both, okay, they sound exactly the same. If you listen to the very beginning of the Spirit Taurus song, right, and the Led Zeppelin Stairway to Heaven song, the chords sound very similar, right? But here is the technicality. Here was the issue. Before 1976, this is for all creatives, listen, ignore the trolls, y'all. If you're creative, listen to this. Before 1976, you couldn't copyright sound recordings, right? You could only copyright like the sheet music. So the group that Spirit, right, in the Skidmore case that the judge is reading and referencing for my case, the group could only copyright notes. So they copyrighted like the first 8 or 5 notes, and that was put into copyright registration. That was called the deposit copy, right? So they never went back and copyrighted the final recording, which included like the kind of licks in the guitar and the moments in the ad-lib that was on the actual recording, right? And they did not argue in court. Please listen, Hassan. Please listen, y'all. They did not argue selection and arrangement. What they argued was, number one, they were able to prove that Led Zeppelin had access to their song because they opened up for them, right? Led Zeppelin opened up for this group that was suing them, or the estate is suing them for copyright infringement. And they had a copy of their album, right? So Led Zeppelin had a copy of the Spirit album in Taurus, and they opened up for them. So they had been exposed to these people's song, where the beginning is almost the same. They had access to it. But because when they filed their copyright, their deposit copy, they could only file written notes, right? So those written notes were not the exact same as what the artist actually played, right? So you know when we sing and we ad-lib and we do a piano riff, you do a little bit of extra, whatever, it's still a part of the song, right? Because like that, ooh, yeah, and If You Love Me, right? The very beginning, that's not written, and those notes aren't out there. But because there is a audio recording, a master sound recording, we know that that is Brownstone. We know that Brownstone owns that. Well, before this group, before copyright law allowed you to do a sound recording, it was just notes. So when they went to court, even though if you listen to the audio recording, you're like, yeah, those sound pretty much the same. What the final recording was of this group was not deposited in the federal copyright laws, right? So they couldn't use, the jury was instructed to not listen to the audio recording because the audio recording was not what was filed at copyright. What was in copyright was what the person wrote, title of the song and everything, but it was the notes that were sort of the beginning. And everybody knows as a creative, even like when you're doing TV shows, you're doing movies and stuff like that, you're doing plays, you know, things change in the field. You'd be like, you know, take that line out, put this line right here. Or, you know, add this, take that away. So in the creative process, it's really not done until it's done and it's printed. So the reason these people lost this case in Skidmore is because they didn't have a copy of the actual sound recording that predated Led Zeppelin's recording registered with the Copyright Office. So these people lost this case of copyright infringement because it wasn't substantially similar to what they were allowed to do at the Copyright Office. So this is the case that my judge is looking at, our Your Honor is looking at, to sort of refresh his memory on the whole idea of access and the importance. Now, here's the thing. So as a result of the ruling in the Skidmore case, basically what they said, right, is access becomes less relevant because YouTube and Netflix and like all these various places show all of this content, right? So just because you have a Star subscription or just because you have a whatever subscription doesn't mean that you actually watch something or you have access to it. So because these people lost this case and this case set a certain precedent, then in my case, the fact that, now where my case is different, and this is why the judge is saying he's got to look at it, because the defendants are saying, well, you know, access is irrelevant. Access is irrelevant. And what's crazy is they're arguing access is irrelevant at the same time that they have said if they lose this motion on similarity, they're going to file another summary judgment for access, which is just, again, rich people just able to spend money on lawyers forever, and just deciding that even though they don't have no case, that's what they're going to do. But anyway, they're going to file another on access. So what the judge said was, well, it sounds to me like my interpretation of it is the judge is like, well, let's nip all of this in the bud, right? Because he said something, and again, you can see the transcripts on Pacer. I'm going to actually have Pam put the transcripts on Worth Media because we are a media company, and part of the reason I'm sharing this is because all the big media companies don't want to share it. Maybe because my skin is black, and maybe because my mouth is big, maybe because they friends with the people. But for whatever reason, they're not as interested in this landmark copyright infringement case as many of y'all are. So we're going to keep it on wirfmedia.com where you get all the Pacer stuff. But basically in my case, access is relevant because I'm not saying that they just saw it out here on YouTube or saw it out here on all the various platforms. I'm saying I gave my materials to the CEO. So Skidmore doesn't say that access is irrelevant. It just said in these digitally connected times or something like that, it is less relevant, right? So every time someone loses a case, every time, and I'm gonna wrap this up for y'all because I know it's been a minute, but every time somebody loses one of these copyright infringement cases, it sets a precedent that makes it more difficult for the next person to win, right? So the reason that I'm fighting so hard right now is because, number one, I mean, shit, I'm $1 million in debt on legal fees, so I got to win. But number two is creatives have been abused. We have been neglected. We have been paid so little based on how much money we generate for non-black entities that own all of these powerful, incredible black stories, right? This is an issue of race. This is an issue of gender. This is an issue because at the end of the day, they did an ownership and licensing deal with Tyler Perry. I went in and pitched the ownership and licensing deal, and rather than do it with me, they hired Katori. And Katori wrote something substantially similar to what I gave to them. And that's just an easy way to have ownership of great ideas. And that is what they did to Eric Monty. And that is what they did to Martha Wash. And that is what they did to Sophia Stewart. And that is what they did to countless other creatives who have created ideas that have generated. If these people gave Katori Hall, as stated in video, $100 million to create P-Valley, how much money do you think these people think they're going to make over the years off that show? You're not giving somebody $100 million if you think you're going to make $100 million. And it's not fair. It's just not fair that I came in and I pitched you and gave you my stuff. Not just pitched. My show was done. I gave you copies of a DVD of a story that was already done. Y'all even brought the spirits into the thing in the second season. Because I guess you figured if you took from the first, you might as well take from the second. It's just really a horrible, messy, manipulative, disrespectful, awful situation that creatives are in time and time again. And I'm just not going to stand by and allow this to happen to me and my family. I'm not going to do crack. I'm not going to become an alcoholic. I'm in the gym busting my ass every day so I can make sure this right. My heart is broken. My heart is broken. I'm so disappointed in this industry. I'm so disappointed in how big corporations treat create. Look at these people out here boycotting and striking because they don't want artificial intelligence to take their jobs. We don't want art. I'm a part of SAG-AFTRA. I want health insurance. I worked for it. We worked for it. We bust our asses every single day. Every single day. We bust our asses creating content to hopefully inspire people, give them an escape, make them feel a little bit better about what's going on in life. Prince had the same issue. Michael Jackson had the same issue. Every creative on the face. Irene Cara had the same issue. Like, she died fighting for her. She flashed there. She get nothing. Why is that okay? And these CEOs get tens of millions of dollars in salary every year. Plus, they got stock options and that stuff. And all we're asking people to do is be fair, right? All we're asking people to do is make partnerships with creatives that mean that we can all make money together. And what happens is, it's kind of like the Master P deal back in the day, right? When everybody was like, oh, Master P did this deal and it's the Master P deal, that's the one, and blah, 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 right? It's like when that deal happened, they weren't doing them no more. And it's weird because it's like when Tyler Perry, who else is another Tyler Perry? Like, that's a real question that the community, and again, I know I've mentioned him several times, and I'm not mentioning him for any reason except to say he can't be the only one. Byron Allen can't be the only other one. And Oprah Winfrey can't be the only other one. Like, how do we have these companies, these people who've made all this money and understand how ownership turns things around for the Black community, but we only got like 4 or 5 Black people that are actually participating in ownership interests of the properties that they create? How is that possible? It's possible because people get to the point where they're tired of fighting. People get to the point where they're like, these people got billions of dollars, they're going to try to ruin everything about me, right? There has to be more creatives that have the, listen, just from R&B Divas alone, half of them women got their own shows. Half of those women have their own entities. And let's be real about it. If R&B Divas hadn't come along, people wouldn't be thinking about a lot of the women that they see every single day that now have millions of followers and a lot of stuff going on, right? Because many of us haven't really made that much music like that. But because we were able to expose our brands on a show like R&B Divas, because we were able to really open up our fan bases, then we have an opportunity to build generational wealth and wellness in our families and communities. And you guys, that is the whole point of this probably. I don't know how long I've been on here, probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But that is the whole point of why it's important to talk to y'all as often as God puts it on my heart. To talk to y'all about how absolutely important, imperative it is for us to have ownership or co-ownership of the intellectual properties we create, because they are business assets. They are preeminent business assets And those business assets we're able to put back into our communities. If I'm a wealthy, successful content creator, then that gives me the opportunity to pour some of that wealth into my community, to bring more women in R&B and music with me, to bring more creatives and entrepreneurs into this with me. So for those of us who actually care about our communities, for those who actually pour into our communities, for those of us who understand the importance of being positive examples in our communities of what success looks like and wanting to pass the baton and see other people become as successful, we care and we will fight, and we need y'all to fight with us, because Monique is out here doing it. That situation with Bethany, I'm not going to go into that today because I've been going in on this P-Valley thing, and I'm not just going to argue and rant about everything as much as we need to. But that situation with Bethany, let me say this. I appreciate what Bethany Frankel is doing. And I don't know who the other gentleman is, but I appreciate what Bethany is doing. And I'm going to answer some questions. I'm going to look through here and respond to some of y'all questions because I've just been running my mouth. But what is so disappointing is Nene Leakes got dragged. Nene Leakes got dragged for filth when she basically said the same thing that Bethany has said. Nene got dragged. Mariah Huck, who's also a Bravo, and I'm just talking specifically about Bravo people. Y'all know I've been hollering about this for a long time. But since we know that Bravo is the holy grail of reality TV, Nene Leakes got dragged. Mariah Huck got dragged. A black woman created the Housewives franchise, the Housewives of Atlanta's franchise. If Time magazine and SAG-AFTRA, which is my union, is going to help change what is happening in reality TV, you can't ignore the countless black women, black people who have spoken up about the conditions they have faced in reality TV. The black experience in reality TV is just as important, and we are affected disproportionately by the negative effects of reality TV. So Nene Leakes' voice should have been represented in that article. Mariah Huck's voice should have been represented in that article. I'm not beefing with Bethany because, I mean, shit. The other theory is we all in this together because reality TV is sugar honey. Nah. But Nene Leakes should have been included in that conversation, in that dialogue. I should have been included in that dialogue. Many people who have been fighting for years for better conditions in reality TV should have been included in that dialogue. It is culturally insensitive to have all of this holy, great white hope, the Bethany Act, all of this other stuff, right? Without talking to those of us who have been in the trenches, in the mud, trying to change things. Yes, Petty King says they entertain their butts off and end up with nothing afterwards. Exactly. And then, you know, we have to all say, well, thank God for the Bethany Act. Why can't we do something that's a little more gender neutral or racially neutral or whatever? Something that doesn't, you know, say that we had to, you know. And it reminds me of, I know I'm kind of all over the place, but it reminds me of the Sarah Stokes story, right? And Sarah had been screaming for years about what was happening in her life with her father. You know, Sarah, it's crazy. And if you don't know, you'll hear more about that later. But the point is, nobody paid attention. And then the girl across the street, who happens to blonde hair, blue-eyed, beautiful girl, her father was molesting. That is what got him 60 years in prison. So Sarah endured it from the time she was 13, I believe. Wait, no. How old was Sarah when she might have been younger than that. But she had complained the whole time about sexual assault and molestation at the hands of her father. And it took a non-black person, and Cher's biracial, it took a non-black person for them to really take it seriously and lock this motherfucker up 20 plus years later. And grateful, you know, we're happy to report that the show Sarah was on, From the Bottom Up, which is the show I co-own with Queen Latifah and Shakim, is what her neighbors across the street saw, and Sarah talking about the molestation that ultimately led to the arrest of her father. But my point is just, it's really sad that when black women say that we have been victimized, When black women say that there are horrible things that have been happening to us, when black women say that we need to change directions or everything is going to fall apart, we never listen until it's too late. And then after the fact, we be like, damn, we should have rolled with her. Damn, we should have paid attention to her. Our community has a really, really hard time supporting leadership. That's why we have none. Y'all don't know who to support because, not y'all, we don't know who to support because we get so consumed and distracted by the shiny shit. We get so caught up in, the fly shit. We're so caught up in dancing around in videos and people being like, look at her, ooh, look at her bag, look at her vacation, look at her man, look at her this, look at her that. And the whole time we got 11 kids missing in Cleveland and nobody's talking about it. We got little girls getting looked over. The only person that didn't get a medal in that horrible competition with the gymnast. We sit back and we watch a young black girl who worked just as hard as everybody else literally get passed over. And we, oh, that's bold, oh, that's terrible, oh, that's a shame. Also, oh, did you see when such and such wore to the such and such? No, it's time for us to stop dancing and singing so much. It's really time for us to turn the music. You know how somebody come in and you hear the record scratch, turn this shit off, hold up, wait. No, don't go nowhere, hold on, wait, let's talk. That's what needs to happen in the black community. Because the most scary shit to think about, and I'm really going to go start cooking dinner. Like if Bethany was in your shoes, her case, oh yeah, if Bethany wouldn't be in my shoes. What's the girl's name? Jillian Michael had a case with Lionsgate. They settled with her, she wasn't fighting them for all as many years as I was, and they settled with her. So, I'm just a loudmouth black lady who caused problems on R&B divas who can't write and ain't responsible for the biggest show that they own a network according to them, and I just got to go through court to prove otherwise. But again, let me say this. The scary thing about what's happening in the black community, right? The terrible thing about what's happening is all of us that are like 40 and up who remember and recognize when times were better, when things in our community were good, right? When we felt pride and when talent was really talent and when we were inspired by artists. We had songs that made us feel like, let's get up and get out and like make some stuff happen, right? Everything wasn't bend over, spread it wide, twerk it, flip it, twerk on your head, twerk against the wall, simulate sex acts on stage and wear bikinis on stage and all this crazy shit. What is happening is those people who have never experienced what it means to have class and integrity and be great, because we haven't seen greatness in entertainment and media in a long time, right? They're going to be the ones taking care of our old asses in about 15, 20 years. The ones who don't respect the elders, the ones who don't respect authority, the ones who could care less about what really means something for the community as long as they got that bag and as long as these nickels out here paying for their dinner and as long as they taking their little trips and shit. Those are the ones that are going to be taking care of your ass when you're in a hospital room. And I'm just saying, if we don't instill, like other cultures don't disrespect their elders. The highest number of centurions, what are they? Centurions, people who are over 100 years old, are in Okinawa, Japan. Why? Because older people are cherished. They're valued, right? If Patti LaBelle or Aretha Franklin or one of the legends before me was on here saying, listen, y'all, this is what's happening in this industry. This is what's going on. This is what you need to do. Boo, 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 boo. I wouldn't be calling them clout chasers. I wouldn't be disrespecting them publicly. I would be spreading the message. I would be making sure that the youth that are coming up before, because look at what's going on with Lizzo. Look at what's going on with Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Listen, these people will pull the, look at me. This is an auntie moment. These people will pull the plug on your ass and show you who the boss really is because you don't have no ownership of your shit. And getting to ownership means that you have to be prepared to spend 3 years and $1 million in court, waiting on the legal system to give you your day in court. See, that has to change, guys. So no matter what happens with this case, we're going to be fighting to change policies and laws that mean that Black content creatives have to have someone with their foot on their neck, cutting off their lifeline, sucking every little bit of air we possibly can to get to court so that we can get vindicated and so that we can win, right? It's a shame that we have to do that. It is a crime. It is a crime that you can have the kind of facts and the kind of evidence that I have in my case. It is a crime that you can have the kind of evidence that I have in my case, and you can be 3 years and $1 million in debt just to get to a jury. However, I'm very confident that based on the experience we had with the judge on Monday, that he's truly looking at all of the evidence. And I'm praying to God that just like he said, because he already said, didn't he, babe? He said this is disputable. Disputable means we go to a jury. He already said that. I hope he stays in that space. Because all I want to do is, if I present my case to the jury and the jury says, nope, these aren't the same, we don't believe you, whatever, then I just got to deal with that. And I'm going to recover, because that's just what I do. We're going to recover no matter what, because I already got some recovery shit happening already that I'm about to tell y'all about as soon as I can. Because we don't stop working. And y'all going to find that out in a minute. We're not going to stop working. We're still building. And I've heard a few people mention Zeus. All of these streaming platforms that launched, baby, they came after, well, Zeus maybe didn't, but we've been trying to launch our streaming platform since 2018. Unfortunately, my mother became gravely ill. I became her caregiver like 2016 until she passed away, you know, right before COVID. And then COVID happened. And then, so I haven't, and then I'm in a case. So I haven't had an opportunity to launch my network, and I'm not about to do, Zeus is not on brand with what I'm trying to do. You know, all these people saying, call Tyler, call Tyler. No, Tyler is doing what Tyler's doing to build his enterprise and his brand. I'm calling on Jesus, and I'm keeping you guys aware every step of the way. I see you, Sora. Detroit girls hustle harder. I'm calling on Jesus, and I'm believing that in the end we are going to win. And guess what? Let me rephrase that. We've already won. I've won because I have been in, listen, that Marvin Gaye case and this other Marvin Gaye case. Oh, real quick. So the latest Marvin Gaye case, what was that case? Let's get it on. It was the Marvin Gaye Ed Sheeran case. I need some edge control. You turn the air on? Okay. Yeah, because I'm hot. The Marvin Gaye case. Let me tell y'all this real quick. So you know that Skidmore thing I told you guys about? If y'all just came on here, you might not know. But that Skidmore case is very similar to why Ed Sheeran won in the Marvin Gaye case, because nobody could figure out. We're like, oh my God. And he even saying it. Listen, Ed Sheeran even saying, let's get it on, right? They should have won. Let me tell you why they didn't win. They didn't win because the same reason pretty much in the Skidmore case. If you don't copyright the sound recording, y'all listen to me. Listen. I know I'm talking loud and a little slightly obnoxious, but listen. Robin Thicke, they won on that one, right? But if you don't copyright the sound recording, if you don't have that filed, then you can't file a copyright litigation against someone. You have to have your copyrights in order, y'all. You gotta have your copyrights in order, whatever you're doing. If you got something that you've written or something that you created and you're on this live looking at me right now, as soon as this live is over, you go to the copyright office, you file your copyright. Now, if you have a sound recording, you make sure they have a deposit copy of the sound recording. Because if they had a deposit copy of the sound recording of the Marvin Gaye song, then they would have won that case against Ed Sheeran. And the reason why a girl has to stay in this fight is because what I am fighting for right now is going to hopefully set precedents and change things for other creatives. The only way we can get to more fairness and equality in the creative space is for us to win these cases. If it's written, you have to write it, file it with the federal copyright office. I'm a member of WGA, but WGA is not going to protect you in a federal copyright litigation. WGA is just going to be able to say, yeah, she wrote this and she registered this on this day, but it doesn't give you federal copyright protection. Federal copyright protection is the only thing, and federal copyright protection is not going to stop you from paying $1 million to fight for your rights, which is why, let me say this. Damn, I keep saying I'm about to get off of here, but this stuff is coming and I want y'all to have it. And I'm going to leave this live up for y'all to go, and I'm actually going to run it. I'm going to rerun this live on my YouTube, guys. So go to worth.tv YouTube so you guys can look at the YouTube, because at the end of the day, all of this stuff that I'm saying that people like ranting. No, this shit is not ranting. This is public historic record. Public historic record. So that the next person who got a library, there you go. It's a library of shit I've been through during this case for 3 whole long ass years, because you gotta know what's happening if you're going to be able to fight this. So make sure that you file your copyright. Make sure, if somebody asks what will protect you. So let me tell y'all something that I learned the hard way. What I learned the hard way is nothing will protect you against somebody deciding to take your shit but being rich. Or what we're working on at the Creatives Coalition. So we launched a program through my foundation, which is 501c3, from the bottom of foundation.org. Make sure you guys go. I need for you to get a professorship at one of these HBCUs on this subject matter. Yeah, I can't educate a lot of people. But so let me tell y'all something. You don't get protection from someone stealing your copyright through the copyright office. Not that kind of protection. Ultimately, you have to prove that you own the copyright. So there's that part of the protection. The fact that you can go and prove that you actually own the copyright that you copyrighted. In this case, my copyright is from 2006. Katori's copyright doesn't come until 11 or 12 years later, 2017 and 18, I believe. So that is not like, you know how on YouTube, like if you take somebody's stuff on YouTube, YouTube is going to immediately take that shit down. YouTube ain't playing. YouTube ain't waiting for the person to come and fill out their copyright paperwork and all that stuff. YouTube basically saying, nope, you took these people's shit, take it down until you can prove otherwise. I wish that is how it worked, but it is not. You have to have money. As you can see, y'all been following this case with me for 3 years. You have to have money. And the average case costs between $1.5 and $2 million to actually be able to fight. That's not fair, is it? It's not fair that creatives have to have about $2 million in the event that somebody take their shit. It's not fair. So what we've decided with Creatives Coalition is to start really looking into ways to protect creators who have copyright protection, who file their copyrights. And what I learned in this case is the people I'm fighting against, I'm sure they have insurance. Insurance is paying for probably a lot of their legal fees. Nobody tells us, or maybe people tell you and it's in the fine print, insurance. You need intellectual property rights insurance, because that insurance will allow you to offset the cost of your legal expenses, just like the big boys have. Right? That's it. When I think about the fact that I'm actually fighting against myself, because technically I've spent all this money fighting people for a story that I believe belongs to me. So my own story is the reason why I'm in litigation. A story I wrote is actually the reason that I'm in litigation paying millions of dollars to defend myself. So the only way that you can protect yourself when this comes up is to have some sort of intellectual property rights insurance. And we are working on doing that at the Creatives Coalition. We are working on establishing some policies and some laws, and I've got a really amazing team. You guys, we got a big conversation coming up. Please do not miss it. I got some really powerful, influential folks that are going to be a part of this conversation, and they're going to talk about the steps that we can take to start working towards legislation, to start getting people on board to help creatives, because the simple, stupid way to make this fair and equitable for creatives is for the people who distribute the content to just do like they did with Tyler Perry. That's it. To just do like they did with Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry was able to have ownership, a co-ownership of the stuff he created. I think that should just be a written law. I think if you create something, I think if you write a song, I think if you create an idea, I think if you, from your brain, trust, from your body, from your mind, from your experiences, from your trauma, if you create something, you should automatically be entitled to ownership of it. You shouldn't have to give up your ownership. You shouldn't have to give up the ownership of the preeminent business assets that will provide generational wealth and wellness for your family for years to come. It shouldn't be that only non-black people, who are usually the only people, that's my dog snoring again, y'all, usually the only people who can afford to protect themselves. They shouldn't be the only ones making money off of the things that we create. And when I look at all the producers on P-Valley, do y'all know how many white women were actually writers and executive producers on Pussy Valley? You know how many people other than Katori had a lot to say about that end result of a show about black people? It's a lot of non-black people with a lot of power on Pussy P-Valley. So they're telling us about the black experience, just like Norman Lear was telling us about the black experience on Good Times when actually it was Eric Monti who wrote it. Just like Norman Lear was telling us about the black experience on the Jeffersons when actually it was Eric Monti that wrote it. Just like they was telling us about what's happening when it was actually Eric Monti, who is now homeless, that actually created and wrote that. We're not going to get Eric Monti. In fact, that should be the law, the Eric Monti Act. Because what black person doesn't know about Good Times? What black person doesn't know about the Jeffersons? What black person doesn't know about what's happening? And what black person doesn't know about Cooley High? Why is it that the man who created all of those amazing shows is homeless, has had to deal with the heartbreaking, debilitating effects of only getting $1 million many years ago because he settled? Why? Because he probably was where I was at. He probably was right where I was at, like, oh, Lord, how am I going to pay to keep fighting a $1 billion company? Like, you guys, really? So spread the word, right? And when y'all hear me express frustration with people, especially when I have to sit up and I have to watch them get NAACP awards, and I have to sit up and watch. Tamara Harner had the cast of P-Valley on her show 11 times. That's exaggerating, but a lot of times. And guess what? I remember sitting up watching her when the show The Hive or whatever it is came out, and the girl Dominique Fishback, she's a brilliant actress, was on there. And I sat there and watched before this girl even got a chance to sit down in a chair. The first thing Tamara Hall said was, well, you know, I heard that this movie you're doing is a whole lot like Beyonce. I heard that this, people online saying there's a lot of comparisons. But sis, you know me. One of your really, 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 really good friends is one of my really, really, really good friends. And P-Valley has been on that show multiple times. And you never asked them the very same question. And we have a claim. And we have a lawsuit that is legitimately a real, actual claim. The comparisons that are actually there. I rely on people from my community who are journalists, especially ones that I know, to make sure that they're having fair and amicable conversations with all parties about this shit. And what's crazy is that Essence has reported a lot about P-Valley. A lot of people, and y'all know me. I mean, I don't have no beef with any of these people, right? I can't have no beef with any of these people. But I thank God for my sister Monique. And I thank God for Baller Alert. And I thank God for all of y'all that are here. I thank God for everybody who has said, you know what they're doing to Nicci ain't right. If you look at the comparisons, you realize there's definitely something to this story. Because guess what? They care about how y'all feel about this. Because y'all are the viewers. Tamron should have had me on to talk about it, 100%, because she's had P-Valley on numerous times. So show both sides of it. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to say that people should be messy, but if a black woman is out here in these streets, and you know that I'm notorious for fighting for us, like, this is what I do. Like, I go and talk to kids and, you know, build opportunities and create platforms and create things for us to do better, for us to grow, for us to have ownership, for us to get to generational wealth. Why? Because I know how important that is. So anybody who is supposed to be for us, by us, and about the people should at least give me the platform to share my story. Not one place that I've been to, and I spoke Rashawn Ali, thank you. Beehive, thank you. Frank Ski and Nina, thank you. Baller Alert, thank you. Jasmine Brand, thank you. Thank you to all of the black publications who have allowed me to share my story, and all the black people who have retweeted. Let me tell you, if you're a journalist, you got to talk about what's going on, even if them people are your friends. But it's very disheartening to constantly look up and see P-Valley being celebrated by all of these black publications, and nobody has asked them, so what's going on with this? Now, I'm sure that the people have said, don't say nothing about this lawsuit. Don't mention it. You don't know nothing about it. See, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. But that's not how black people get forward. That is not how we progress beyond being works for hire. That is not how we get to being Tyler Perry and Byron Allen. That is not how we get to having the wealth to spread throughout our community. All of these narratives that black people are a part of in this world right now, all this love and hip hop, all of this stripper shit, all of this drug dealer shit, all of this drop it low, spread it wide, twerk with your back door open on top of your car, beat somebody with a bat, all this crazy shit, it gets #1 top notch, front of everybody exposure. They will show the worst of us on any day. But when we have a person or people who are out here trying to educate, inform, and empower, right? They never let our stories go anywhere. They stop us at every corner. Have you ever tried to talk to someone like Tasha K? The Shade Room has shared. Yes, the Shade Room has shared. You know, I know I haven't talked or even thought about Tasha K. I haven't. She got a lot going on. She probably like I said, people are in their own world, in their own stuff. But imagine, right, if I had my story. I've been in this for 3 years. And the only stuff that's gotten out is the stuff that I've done on my lives and the stuff that I've shared that people have picked up. I haven't paid one publicist. I haven't paid for any, you know what I'm saying? But people won't talk about it. Now, mind you, when I win, back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. You understand what I'm saying? They caught the vapors. You understand what I'm saying? We know how fake people are. They definitely going to be all up in the videos dancing once I win this case. And I'll dance with them. Because at the end of the day, for me, it's not even about ego. Any of these people that I named that I haven't talked to, if they call me tomorrow, I will go sit down and have a conversation with them. But I understand that, you know, they're owned by people. Like, you guys, this isn't just me fighting P-Valley. This is me fighting one of the largest distribution companies on the face of the earth. They just got $30 million from the guy who was the former Treasury Secretary of the United States of America. I think his name's Steve Mnuchin, just gave Lionsgate like $30 million and became an owner. So now I'm like in a battle with people who like own shit in the Treasury Department and stuff. Like, it is a real big fight. This is the CEO of a publicly traded company. It is a big deal. It is a big fight. So why publications don't see the importance? I could see if my case had no merit. I could see if I didn't have 57 comparisons. I could see if I was just running around here litigious and just running my mouth and just talking crazy. But the fact that I am saying I pitched to the CEO of Lionsgate, left him my materials, pitched ownership, which is a very important thing, and I got 57 comparisons, and I've been in this for 3 years. That should count for something. That should count for creating some kind of awareness. Because the more people like, you should talk to Oprah. Let me tell you something. You know who I talk to? Jesus. Because God is the only person in this situation right now, or somebody with enough money to help me pay all my legal fees. But we working on that. We working on that. Pray for me. But I got to get to trial in order for that to happen. Once we go to trial, baby, it's smooth sailing. Once we go to trial, somebody's going to help me. So amen to that. But when you're inching along for 3 years and people don't know, like, who wants to, like, invest or put money up and help somebody if you don't even know if that person's gonna have an opportunity to actually get to trial? You guys don't understand. This is almost $1 million. I keep saying $1 million because once you hit 750, 800 is $1 million to me. It's all the same. But but Oprah and Tyler and Byron Allen and all those people, let me tell you, the one thing I know for sure is, I think I recall years ago, Oprah went through a major lawsuit. I know Byron Allen has gone through a major lawsuit. And yes, those people were way richer than I am, and they probably had an opportunity to do it and whatever. But I'm not expecting nobody to come and, like, bail me out of anything. But what I do expect people to do is recognize that I'm somebody who has poured into the community. I'm somebody who's created many opportunities in this community. And I've been prevented from doing it for 3 years because I've been in a battle with Goliath. And these people are going to probably, truth is, y'all, this case might not be over for another 5 years. This case could go on because they got the bread. They got the money, right? This ain't about merit. This ain't about who actually has facts and what actually happened. This is about the fact that they got way more money than I do. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's why I get on here and I talk as much as I do. Because that's the only outlet I have. My facts that are at Pacer, my bomb-ass attorneys who are incredible, or 20 years, right? This case could go on forever, and that is the reason. So that's the reason why we created the Creatives Coalition, which is at, hold on, let me put this in here right now. From the bottom up foundation. Spell foundation right. Foundation dot org. I can't see shit. Hold on. Pin. Okay, I think that says from the bottom up foundation.org. I hope it says from the bottom up foundation.org. Somebody says, why not bring R&B divas back and use that as a storyline? Okay, so here's the thing. I can't say too much, but y'all see me doing this live, but you guys are actually gonna see, like, the in-depth. Like, y'all probably gonna see me crying a few times. Like, you're gonna actually see what my family is actually going through soon. I can't talk about it right now, but it's coming very, very soon. It won't be in the form of R&B divas. Because R&B Divas is another situation where Think Factory Media, basically the way that the things are worked out, if we ever do R&B Divas, then all of these people have to be involved. And I'm just not sure that I'm not ready for that, truthfully. Because again, they can't, it's kind of one of them situations where we can't do anything without each other. That's the reason why ownership is so important. So people who were involved in the show that ultimately destroyed the show and destroyed the relationships with all these women, they wrote it. It's been written in that they are going to be a part of it no matter what. So there's no way for R&B Divas to not be shown by a culturally incompetent white male lens, because those people, before we knew better, before we understood what it meant, they basically said, we control you. No, they didn't say that. But they are in it forever. And a lot of people, the people that I would want to do R&B Divas with, Ain't nobody trying to go back to that old stuff that it was. And since they have to be involved in it, there's the truth behind R&B Divas. But I have a great relationship with TV1. I have a great relationship with TV1 by the grace of God. It is a beautiful thing to be in the good graces of TV1. And we're working on some really special things. I will just say that. So thank God for that. So we're working on stuff. But, you know, millions of dollars is a lot of money. So I need y'all to download the Brownstone singles. I need y'all to come see us when we perform. I need you guys to continue to pray. They don't have to be involved in podcasts and other things like that. But, you know, just really honestly, I think R&B Divas has just been so disrupted by Phil Thornton, Think Factory Media, and others that ship has sailed for now. Now, it might make its way back to the port, but for right now, because at the end of the day, if it ain't, you know, Faith ain't involved and I'm not involved. Kiki got her own show actually now, which is amazing. Make sure you guys tune into Kiki's shows. But R&B Divas is one of the best shows on television. And unfortunately, because non-black people decided that they wanted things to go a certain way and they had more power, it won't be coming back no time soon. Not in that capacity. But again, really excited to be working with TV1 on some other ideas and some other things, and they are coming soon, and we'll be talking about those soon. But it's still a lot. It's still a lot, right? The people I'm suing don't even have to pay for their stuff all by themselves. They got insurance companies to help them cover their legal fees. So that's the big thing for creatives, and that's what we're working on with the Creatives Coalition, making sure that these artists have and creatives have insurance to help us fight. Because when you, again, look at Eric Monty, when you look at Sophia Stewart, when you look at all of these people and all these creatives, you know, so many cases where people have lost. Plaintiffs don't really win that often. See, I'm very realistic here, which is why I said something has to be bigger than just this P-Valley case for me. Something has to be more important than me winning this case. And the thing that is more important than me winning this case is to establish meaningful policies and legislation and whatever that helps copyright owners have ownership and real, tangible, viable protection. It has to be bigger than me. It has to be bigger than my case. It has to be bigger than this. That's it. So I'm not going to lose either way because I'm building something. And it's funny because I asked God. I was crying. Y'all ain't going to hold y'all up. The other day I was just like, I'm just I can't. Because you guys, you know, it's hard. And y'all going to find out just how hard it's been. Trust me. Y'all be like, damn, I didn't know he's going through all that. Yeah, it's hard. We missed... we had to miss 2 family members' funerals because of this hearing. Because we couldn't get to the funeral in time. And that just really was like, wow. And like one of them was during the time we had depositions. So deposition means you just sit for hours and hours and hours and answer these questions. And the other one was literally the morning that, you know, whatever. Long story short, we lost 2 family members in the midst of this trial, my husband. And we couldn't make the funerals. And one of them was his mother's husband, which was really heartbreaking for us. And I just lost it. Like, this is not right. But, you know, I can't reschedule a hearing. I have to be there. And my husband wasn't going to let me go by myself. So he had to be there. So the way this has impacted my family, they going to pay for it. They going to pay. Thank y'all for condolences, but they going to pay. The law is going to be on our side. So hopefully this week we find out if we can go to court. And baby, when we hear the words, these are substantially similar, and Miss Gilbert Daniels can go before a jury. I'm going to get on this live. I'm going to call y'all. This is like a phone call. I'm going to get on this live screaming real crazy and dancing and partying. Drinks on me. Well, actually, I can't pay for shit because I'm paying for lawyers. But y'all know, when I get it, drinks on me. I'm going to keep my faith no matter what happens. I asked God what I was supposed to learn from this, what was supposed to come from this, and God said the Creative Coalition, right? So we're going to have some powerful people. Some powerful people are speaking. Shout out to my sister Monique. When I tell y'all how much I love and appreciate Monique, I hear y'all talking about Tyler, and I hear y'all talking about all these other people. The person who I feel is the person in this industry who I feel, who has a large platform, who has done the most for me feeling seen and loved on and respected, is Monique. And of course my sister's in Brownstone, and but I'm just saying, y'all, I think y'all know what I'm saying. I'm shocked that there haven't been more people who have claimed to be advocates for women. People who have actually benefited from Soul Kittens Cabaret, which is crazy shit for me. I'm like, ooh, baby, can't wait to win this thing. So I can see the back then they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me of it all with some of these people, because my mind is blown by the lack of support that I've gotten from certain specific people who have benefited from Soul Kittens Cabaret. But we digress. That's on them. They could choose to support who they want to choose. In fact, I was really blown away when I saw one of my sisters who benefited from it, who I'm not going to say her name because we done already had enough public beef, but supporting Katori Hall. I'm like, sis, did you really just say you go, girl, to Katori Hall and you know that, what, for real? But it's cool. Every people can pick and choose who they want to support. But at least go look at wirfmedia.com and let me know what you think. And let me know if you believe that I have a valid case. Not because it's going to change the judge's decision, because the only thing that's going to determine that is the jury, but because it makes me feel good to know that there are people out there who see what I'm going through, care about it, and that's the support you can give me. Share my journey. Let me let my dog out. Go ahead. That's the support you can give me. Share my journey. Spread the word. Go look. Tag me under my post and be like, you go, girl, you got this. You know, put a battery in my back because I need it. You understand what I'm saying? We just want to know, creatives just want to know that the people we create the content for care about us outside of our gifts. Care about us as human beings who need to know that we need support. Somebody says, oh, this is Chike. He says, will you have a jury of artists since it's supposed to be a jury of peers? I don't know. I do not know. I don't know who my jury is going to be, but I just know if you can look at the 57 comparisons and you can consider, which the judge is deciding whether or not he's going to allow my access. Yes, I will speak on worth and from the bottom up. Okay, I didn't want to leave live. Yes, I will talk on worth and from the bottom up real quick. But the judge is trying to decide if he's going to let the access, the fact that I gave it to the president of the stars, if he's going to let that into my case, right? Because you got to get approval to let certain things be heard and seen by the jury and all this stuff. So he's going to decide that, I think this week. So pray for that. From the Bottom Up Foundation, I created a few years ago. I created in 2017, I believe. It was something that kind of started right after Maxie died. From the Bottom Up is the title of our first album, From the Bottom Up. Detroit, we say this thing called, we got it from the mud. We get it out the mud, right? So getting it out the mud basically means that you starting from the bottom and now we here, right? Starting from the bottom up. Worth Media is a platform that I created. It is women in reality, film, TV, and media. TV, film, music, and media. Worth is a media company that I launched because I felt like there was a lack of representation, positive narratives, ownership and IP ownership opportunities in our Black community. I felt like there was a shortage of women in roles that really actually matter, like not just getting hired to run something, but actually being a part of the ownership team of all of these narratives that are out here telling the world who we are. So Worth is actually launching, once we get through this landmine or minefield, a streaming platform, not much different than Zeus, where it gives people an alternative to like all of the ratchet shit, right? It gives us an opportunity to actually hear stories. Like, I'm from Detroit, you guys, and there's a group of women in Detroit. They're called the Detroit Housewives League, whether you can believe that or not. The Detroit Housewives League is what they were called. It was led by a woman named Fannie Peck. And it's crazy because I want to share this with y'all, and hopefully nobody steals my idea and runs with it. But it's more important that my people know about these women than for me to hold it. That's the thing. You don't want to ever die with the truth in you. Say it when you can. But the Housewives League actually led one of the first ever economic protests because they realized that Black people in Black Bottom, which is kind of Detroit's version of Tulsa, and actually Black Bottom and Tulsa are years apart. So they basically led one of the first economic protests in the country, right? And it changed so much. Area called Paradise Valley, which shout out to my brother Hiram Jackson in Detroit, who's rebuilding Paradise Valley. They ultimately ended up in Tulsa, they burned it down, and Black Bottom, they built a freeway through it, a freeway that nobody uses anymore, but whatever. So they're rebuilding Paradise Valley, and basically is a story of economic prosperity for Black people, right? And Petty King, I'd like to go live with you sometimes. We could talk about, oh, I would love that. Thank you, boo. Absolutely. And I'm doing a bunch of, I got a bunch of live interviews coming, y'all. We're trying to get the Breakfast Club. They might be scared of me. People be scared of me because I'll be telling the truth, and I name people, and people don't really always like that, but I like people who operate like that. So that's how I live my life. But, and I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm just saying I'm always being honest and saying what I believe. But stories like that, the Detroit Housewives League, other biographical stories that the Henrietta Lacks story. Why don't we know more about that? Why don't we know more about what's her name? Oh my God, I can't think of her name. But with the Sarah Bartman. You know what I'm saying? Why don't we know more about that? You know, there's so many powerful stories of incredible Black people in our history that never get told because the owners of our narrative and the owners of our culture and the owners of how people see us and view us are non-Black people. Period. Numbers don't lie. People do. I promise you. What we'll find out, probably. I don't promise you because I don't want to say that, because then if I can't prove it, then I don't want to get in trouble for it. But the likelihood of Katori Hall having more power over the narrative on P-Valley than the white people that were involved is slim to none. I don't know this for sure, but I want to find out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Hollywood keeps killing the Sarah Bartman story. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. You guys, the way Black people learn about our greatness, the way we learn how to be greater is in the stories that we tell and the songs that we write and the information that we share. Yeah, a lot of this stuff is in books, but let me tell y'all something. A lot of us would rather watch it to retain it. You know what I mean? So like the story of there's an incredible story. Oh God, I can't think of her name. Oh, I'm about to screw her name up. But the Black supermodel who happens to also be from Detroit. There's so many stories out there of just things that people can learn from, things that people in our community can learn and grow from that get watered down by Hollywood, right? And now what we know for sure is we don't need Hollywood. We know all we need is a streaming platform and talented people to put together the content. And that's what we want to do at Worth. So that is your answer to the Worth thing. We're building this platform from the bottom up, no pun intended. We're trying to raise $1 million, guys. We're trying to raise $1 million for Black content and BIPOC, Black, Indigenous people of color. We're trying to raise $1 million so that we can start establishing all of the networks that we need to establish to protect Black creatives. So the Creative Coalition's mission, you know, and it's not that hard to get to. I say it all the time. It's really not that hard to get to. They're taking, you know, critical race theory out of schools. You know, what is it? Affirmative action is over. Like, and now we don't have the ability to tell our stories in the media, right? Thank you very much, Leslie. It is on Netflix, and it is Danielle Luna. She is from Detroit, one of the first Black supermodels ever. She has a powerful story. Sarah Stokes' story that I've been trying to do since 2017 is a powerful story. And that is the reason that we don't have the opportunities to tell them, because the power in our stories will change our lives. The power in our true stories will change our communities. And we have to stop letting people who do not look like us, who do not live with us, who do not suffer disproportionately the way we do, dictate and determine our narratives. Period. That's it. Now we can work together with them on it, but we cannot give them all power over our narratives, right? So the Sunday sermon is over for the day. I need you guys to pray. I like to be very specific. I'm going to leave this long-winded ass live with a couple of prayer requests. Number one, please pray for the Queen, Roberta Flack. It's been public that she's been going through a public health crisis. But, you know, she's older. She's one of our legends. Pray for her healing. Pray for her wellness. Pray for her peace, right? Talking to her team. You know, some folks really love her and care about her. I'm trying to go see her and say hello to her someday because I just want to hug her and talk about, you know, how much she's influenced my life creatively, right? Pray for Eric Monty, who's the creator of Good Times, who's the creator of The Jeffersons, who's the creator of What's Happening Now, Cooley High, who's homeless, but he created shows that we're still watching to this day. Pray for me and my family. Pray that our judge, Your Honor, decides that my case deserves to be heard by a jury. Once we have the opportunity to get before a jury, the rest is in God's hands and in the jury's hands. But we've been waiting 3 years and we spent almost $1 million just to get in front of a jury, right? I can't wait to hug and agree with you either, brother. Yes, over 40 years. Pray for my sister Monique and Countess Vaughn, because they were the stars of a show that has generated almost $1 billion, allegedly. And they deserve to get paid. Pray that all of these huge celebrities that have all of this money and all of this power and all of this influence start to spread that more freely, right? Because we can be really proud of people's accomplishments and all the money they got and all the beautiful things that they have and all the vacations they take and all the fabulousness in their lives. But the real power is in making sure that you aren't the only rich person at the party. Nobody really wants to, that's not a comfortable place, right? You never want to be the most successful person ever in the whole wide world and sit up high and look down low. Spread the wealth, spread the knowledge. See, the fact that more of us don't know the importance of ownership. Y'all got that? Get that. More of us don't know the importance of ownership is a travesty and a sin. Don't keep the game to yourself to the detriment of your people. Share it. Share the game. Share the knowledge. Every day I get on here and I talk to y'all, I'm winning. Because one person, 2 people, 5 people will either not make the mistakes that those that came before them have made, or will have better knowledge and information to make better decisions. That is what changes the Black community. That is what changes what's happening in our world, right? So thank you to everybody who's been riding with me all of this time, riding with my family. I thank God I have the husband that I have. I thank God I have the tribe that I have. I thank God I got the family that I have. I thank God that y'all get on here and y'all listen to me, you know, share my information. All I'm doing is sharing my experiences. All I'm doing is being honest with you guys. I'm not lying. I'm not lying about shit. Now, I might get in trouble because I say shit that people don't want me to say. But we got to stop pretending like everything is okay. We got to stop pretending. I'm about to get off, babe. He's probably like, you on here for 2011 hours. We got to stop pretending and being fake and acting like everything is okay, because it's not. Shit is really terrible. And that's not to give y'all doom and gloom. That's to keep it real. I'm the auntie that's going to keep it real. We're all up in the videos dancing to music that is destroying us. We're making streaming companies billions of dollars for shows and TV shows and concepts that are destructive to our community. We are more than strippers. We are more than drug dealers. We are more than shooters. We are more than angry black women. We are more than egomaniacal, wealthy, rich bitches. We got way more to offer the world than those up-ass narratives that non-black people keep owning and sharing. They got a monopoly on our narratives, and if we don't change it, I'm going to say this and I'm good off. The very people that are being created, and trust me, these narratives in our culture are creating little monsters and maniacs. The little monsters and maniacs that are being created by virtue of the bullshit that they're showing us every day in the media, they're going to be taking care of your ass at the hospital when you get older. You might think it doesn't apply to you, but wait until you with your mom on her deathbed and the nurse come in like she did with me, talking about some shit that happened on Love and Hip Hop and how that just messed her day up because she was just mad because this, that, and the third. Now, she didn't mean no harm, and she thought she was just shooting the breeze, and she thought she was just whatever. But I'm like, baby, can you focus on my mama vein and finding her vein? But she mad about something that happened on the show Mona Scott created. That's the real shit, and that's the real life. Kanye said it. Bob Marley said it. Prince said it. Michael Jackson said it. Whitney Houston said it. Who else done said it, babe? Everybody done said it. It's time for y'all to process it and listen to it and share the message. Okay. And it's been 2 hours. If you want to see this whole, that was unprofessional. It was very unprofessional, but she wasn't trying to be, she was actually nice. But my point is just, this is what we're consuming. This is what, you know, we get triggered by these narratives. And the sad part is, nobody owns the narratives for black people except Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Byron Allen, and a bunch of white people. That's it. I'm just trying to say, because if those are the people that own shit. All right, guys, let me go put some gel on my edges. Look, this little edge right here just irritating me so bad. Thank you guys for listening to me. I feel much better. But I just had to come on here after I was reading that Eric Monty stuff and realizing how they did that man. I had to come on here. Hi, Oliver. I see you, baby. So I'm also taking interviews. I wasn't taking them for a while. I'm taking interviews. You guys pray. Next week is a big week. The judge, I hope, is going to make the decision to let us go to trial. The transcript is available on Pacer. You want to read that transcript, child, because that transcript is, you want to read it. It's giving me hope. All right. My expert report is in. The expert basically said that P-Valley uses overwhelming aspects. Okay, well, interview me. DM me. I'm taking interviews, guys. I'm taking interviews. I'm doing them, too. I got a big one coming up. Remember to go to frontandbottomupfoundation.org and register for our... if you guys want to do an interview, just DM me or send an email to noegoentertainment@gmail.com. noegoentertainment@gmail.com. And we're doing interviews. We gonna win. It might take a minute. Might take another $1 million. I might have to get out here and hit the stroll and show y'all what I'm really working with while I'm talking about dropping it low and spreading it wide. My husband got the, you know, get a cane and get a hat. It's Halloween. We might get some costumes and use them in real life. I'm just saying, okay, let me stop getting erratic. All right, guys, I love y'all. Remember, ownership. In my case, own hership. We need more people of color, more BIPOC, more Black, Indigenous people of color to own our sugar honey iced tea. He said, I need to get into Nicci Gilbert diaspora. Okay, I think you'll be, hold on, what is that? I think you'll be shocked to know how much I followed your career. Oh my goodness, I love that. I love that. You guys, listen. I'm always me and this little edge. Look at this little edge. Hold on, let me promote my L right now. Watch this, y'all. Ooh, I don't think my gel. Hold on. Look at that. Look how that laid that down. Ooh, come on, my L. Do I have a little brushing? Oh, I got an edge control toothbrush. This one, you gonna be real ghetto. Ooh, y'all see that? Boom. See, this will get ready with me. Is that better? Wait, a little more. My L Organics, baby. Look at that. Y'all see how that laid that down? Ooh, child. There we go. Okay. Better. And you see I got my edge control tip right here for my zoobs. There we go. Okay. All right, love you guys. I'm going to go on ahead and try to figure out what I'm doing for dinner for my family. But go to wirfmedia.com and pray for Eric Monty. Pray for Nicci Gilbert Daniels. And, and get ready with me as we leave. Boom. At least I got edges, though. Y'all see them edges. They gray as hell, but I got them. Thanks to fucking Tori Hall ass. Okay, you guys. Mwah. Love y'all. Have a great day. And this live in its entirety will be on worth.tv YouTube channel. So you guys can watch it, you know, fast forward through it, whatever. It's long, but it's worth it. Fight for worth. Peace.